Please welcome Deputy Mayor Albert Tarantino.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Albert Tarantino, the Deputy Mayor of New Rochelle, and on behalf of the entire City Council administration, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2023 State of the City Address. No, what is this, number 51 or what? To begin our program, I invite Councilmember Liz Freed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilmember Freed. Excellent job. We are joined tonight by many local leaders, and I'd ask each to please stand up when we call your name. From the City Council, Martha Lopez, Yadira Ramos Herbert, Ivar Hayden, Sarah Kay, and Liz Freed. Representing Congressman Jamal Bowman, District Director Ashley Torres, and Deputy District Director Quantel Bazemore. And from the state, representing Senator Shelley Mayer, Mary Ann Joyce, and representing Assemblywoman Amy Paulin, Dale Barber. And from the county, County Executive George Latimer, County Clerk Timothy Idoni, Legislator Terry Clemens, and Legislator Damon Marr. From the school district, Board President William Iannuzzi, and board members David Peters and Katie Minaya. And from the school, the New Rochelle Public Library, President of the Board of Trustees Whitney Barrett, and Executive Director Tom Giaffino. And from the courts, New Rochelle City Court Judges Matthew Costa, Eileen Songer McCarthy, and Jared Rice. And of course, our new city manager, Kathleen Gill. Congratulations, Kathleen. As well as our commissioners, deputy commissioners, and many other city employees. I would like to express special thanks to the members of the city team who did the hard work of organizing and preparing for this event. Angela Taylor, Kathy Gilwitt, Samantha Vargas, John Miskovitz, and our custodial staff, as well as the volunteers who helped welcome us this evening, Mary Jo Jacobs, Shira Meng, and Yan Mu. And I'm not finished yet, but Miriam O'Malley, Adrian Quinn, and Kamisha Salmon. Thank you all. Finally, thank you to the Rocky Middleton Quartet for their outstanding jazz performance. Excellent job. So now, without further ado, it is my honor and pleasure to present to you the Mayor of the City of New Rochelle, Noam Bramson.
Deputy Mayor Tarantino, thank you for calling us to order. To you and the entire City Council, to City Manager Gill, commissioners and colleagues in government, to community leaders, neighbors, partners, and friends, to all present here at City Hall, and all watching at home, good evening. Tonight's State of the City is unusual for 3 reasons. First, it is the final time I will deliver this speech as your mayor. I was a little worried some might applaud that line, and I'm relieved that nobody did. And so, although I will speak this evening to our most recent progress and actions, I hope you will indulge me if I also range a little further afield to reflect on the larger and longer story of our work together over the course of a generation. Second, this is the first time since the pandemic that we have gathered for this event in person. In fact, canceling the State of the City in March 2020 was among our earliest decisions in the initial days of the outbreak, although far from the most important. Returning to this chamber now brings, for me, and perhaps for others, a certain sense of closure to our city's surreal and wrenching experience. Briefly, the epicenter of the outbreak, the eyes of the world upon us, and then for month after month, longer than any of us could have imagined, joining all Americans and people around the globe in making our way through a crisis like no other. And yet, for all the pain and loss affecting each of us to greater or lesser degrees, and some in ways that are still unmeasured, my primary feeling is one of gratitude for the strength and resilience of our community and the spirit of common purpose with which we confronted such an overwhelming challenge. To every first responder, to every essential worker, to every doctor and nurse, and not just that, to every small business owner who struggled to stay afloat, to every service provider and volunteer who fed the hungry and protected the vulnerable, to every faith community that nourished body and soul, to every educator who taught through a screen, and every parent who felt defeated by those same screens. Most poignantly, to every family member who mourned and still mourns. Time moves on, healing all wounds, it is said. But we do not forget and will not forget your labors, your sacrifice, or your grief. And we will always be New Rose strong. Third, and maybe most importantly, this State of the City is unusual and meaningful because it comes at an inflection point for our community, a moment of transition. Not just in the obvious sense of new leadership, a new city manager, soon a new mayor, but also in a deeper sense. So many of the debates that consumed us for decades are largely settled. Old challenges and controversies behind us. Of course, we still have problems and unmet needs, and like every city, we always will. And yet, because of the progress we have made together, New Rochelle approaches now a golden hour in which all things seem possible. Just consider how far we've come. A generation ago, this city was almost left for dead. A declining and hollowed-out urban core, municipal finances in deep crisis, badly divided civic leadership, an exodus of population as residents simply lost faith in our future and fled to greener pastures. Today, we are the fastest growing city in New York State, enjoying a wave of investment and confidence unlike anything in a century. People of all ages and incomes and interests want to be here, want to raise a family here, want to start a business here, giving substance and meaning to the phrase, ideally yours. The rising skyline is the most obvious evidence of our growth. 30 projects approved, 12 completed and leasing up even faster than expected, 13 more under construction, almost 6,300 units finished or in the pipeline, with an additional 4,000 still to come. As our region and state grapple with an acute housing shortage that threatens everyone, that drives up costs for everyone, that restrains opportunity for everyone, New Rochelle is far more than doing its part. We are setting the pace. More new housing per capita than just about any other city in sight to meet the surging demand and bring life, energy, and buying power to a downtown that for too long was starved for it. And our growth brings more. 8,000 construction jobs, hundreds of permanent jobs, opportunities for our residents to build better, more secure lives, opportunities that we are actively fostering through expanded training programs, requirements for local or union hire, and capacity building for minority and women-owned businesses, creating an ecosystem of skilled workers and entrepreneurs who are ready to prosper as we grow. And for our entire community, even those who never set foot in the downtown, it all adds up to a more durable and diverse tax base, with a net increase in revenue of $230 million for the next 20 years and $725 million for the 20 after that. Not to mention local sales that last year reached an all-time high, topping $1.5 billion. Dollars that are reinvested in community needs, from youth programming to park master plans, from flood mitigation to public safety, while moderating the demands placed on our taxpayers. Hear me. Well-planned growth is not a threat, as some would tell us. It is an opportunity that we seize in New Rochelle with both hands, knowing that we are better for it. Now, I threw a lot of numbers at you, and numbers do tell an important story, but it's not just quantity, it's also quality. We are shaping a cityscape that is attractive and pedestrian-friendly, with a form-based zoning code that emphasizes the best design. We're creating new public spaces where we can gather, celebrate, run, and play, or simply enjoy the open water and sky. New plazas at Clinton Park and Anderson Place open to everyone. Pratt Landing, bringing public access to the East Main waterfront for the first time in any of our lives. Biggest of all, the Link, reshaping half of Memorial Highway into a linear park, a bold, transformative vision, and the most ambitious expansion of open space in generations. And a concept compelling enough to win $22 million in highly competitive state and federal grants, a resounding vote of confidence, both in our vision and our ability to execute. And a tribute also to the effective advocacy of our county, state, and national representatives on these and so many other priorities. I thank them for their consistent partnership. Let's give them a round of applause, please. As we grow, we're emphasizing sustainability as never before. New Rochelle was the first city to adopt the New York Stretch Energy Code to promote greater efficiency in building design. We now require LEED Silver equivalency for new construction downtown. We've broadened our community benefit bonuses to allow off-site improvements that advance climate justice in areas impacted historically by redlining. And we are creating at our city's heart a neighborhood where you can walk to goods and services, hail a free electric shuttle, share an emission-free scooter, or ride mass transit to the Metro Core. A place where residents have the freedom to make car ownership a choice and not a necessity. And as we stride confidently into the future, we also cherish and protect the valued elements of our past. Local landmark status for buildings with historic or architectural distinction. And opening soon at 387 Huguenot, a home for the Lincoln Park Conservancy, connecting the Black experience in New Rochelle to the larger quest for racial justice all across America, and ensuring that this defining aspect of our cultural past and present is always remembered and honored. Lastly, alongside dynamic partners at the Council on the Arts and the New Rochelle Art Association, we're nurturing New Rochelle's creative energy with countless examples of performances and displays, maybe best exemplified by the 20 world-class murals from Street Art for Mankind that have captured attention far and wide, bringing beauty and meaning, culture and conversation to our streets. And I have to add, because I'm the kind of guy who plans leisure time around food and drink more than paintings or sculptures, that we've got 4 new coffee shops with a 5th on the way, ensuring that our city is always awake and alert. Plus, with Restaurant Appreciation Week beginning tomorrow, take note that fully a quarter of the Michelin-cited restaurants in Westchester are located right here in New Rochelle, including Townhouse, where I have reservations tonight at 8:45, which is a powerful incentive to wrap up this speech on time. Now, no one denies there is still much more to do. And we won't be satisfied until the commercial street-level energy of our downtown matches the residential energy above. That's why our planning team is so focused on business attraction, spearheaded by our retail task force, and on placemaking, exemplified by great events like the Holiday Market and the Taste of Union Avenue. Plus, coming soon, ambitious plans to remake our transit center into a true community hub, ready for the expanded use arriving with Penn Access. There are many who deserve thanks for this success. Our creative and determined City Hall staff in development, buildings, and law, our partners in the Chamber and BID, our master developers at RXR, and the many other development teams who have together invested literally billions in our revitalization, the community advocates, including constructive critics, who have shaped our plans for the better, and the members of the Planning Board, Zoning Board, IDA, and MAC, who have worked, often late into the night, to move our city forward. Give them all a round of applause, please, for what they do. And there is one other group I want to thank. I need to thank. The thousands of residents and business people living or working in or near our downtown today who have had to endure all the growing pains. The utility cuts, the traffic tie-ups, the sidewalk closures, the parking displacement, the dust, the noise. These are real challenges that can be only partially mitigated despite our best efforts. So to those in the thick of things, we owe you a debt of gratitude for bearing this burden. And I make you a promise. A stronger, healthier city is coming. You can bank on it. And it'll be worth the hard journey for all of us to get there together. Because here's the bottom line. Transit-oriented development is the right strategy for our community. It's the right strategy for our region. It's the right strategy for our world. And I could not be more proud that our city, that our New Rochelle, is leading the way. Now, I've opened with our city's core because it is so vital to everything else and because it has been such a focus of our attention. But make no mistake, this concentrated success downtown exists within the context of broader success extending from the shore of the Sound to the far north end. Our commitment to the environment is more comprehensive than ever before and reaches into just about every space. In our homes, clean, renewable energy and the option of community solar through Westchester Power. Along our curbs, hundreds of new trees free for any homeowner. And underground historic investments in sanitary lines to protect water quality. This year, we'll complete a comprehensive update of Greener, New Rochelle's award-winning sustainability plan, to guide our environmental actions for another decade, doing our part for a healthier community and more sustainable world that we can pass on with pride and not shame to our children and grandchildren. Our city finances are rock solid, with an impressive bond rating just confirmed at AA2 and a healthy fund balance topping $15 million. Thank you to our finance department for decades of outstanding fiscal stewardship, treating every tax dollar as a trust and never an entitlement. Our crime rate is near a 60-year low, a credit to the dedication and professionalism of our police and to their strengthening relationship with the community we serve. Thank you, NRPD, for your service, for your engagement in a collaborative process of public safety reform, and for your bedrock commitment to equal justice under law. Meanwhile, our homes and very lives are protected 24/7 by the bravery and skill of the New Rochelle Fire Department, answering more than 24,000 calls last year alone, calm and competent in every crisis, running toward danger without a second thought, and widely acknowledged as one of the best in New York. How fortunate we are to benefit from the work of our first responders and their EMT partners in Empress. So together, let's all express our appreciation for what they do. As we improve core services, so too we are making generational investments in infrastructure and long-term assets. Indeed, this council's unanimous decision several years ago to prioritize capital needs ranks among the most consequential and positive actions in the modern history of our local government. In 2022 alone, we resurfaced more than 1 million square feet of roadway, part of a multi-year commitment to bring our entire street network to a higher standard and win the pitched battle against every local official's arch enemy, the pothole. At the same time, we're making our streets safer and more family-friendly through new crosswalks, edge lines, and signals, with comprehensive redesigns on the way for major arteries like Lincoln Avenue, Quaker Ridge Road, Pine Brook Boulevard, Huguenot, and Main. We're completing an in-depth citywide stormwater analysis covering all 6 New Rochelle watersheds with an eye to preventing or mitigating future floods, an ever more urgent priority as climate change turns what had been 100-year storms into seemingly annual events. And after literally decades of debate and controversy, finally, we have cut a ribbon for a new Public Works Operations Center, ready to address vital service needs for a century to come, while making possible the restoration of the Echo Bay waterfront. We thank DPW for managing these and countless other projects and for their daily labors, too rarely acknowledged, yet always essential. And surely DPW deserves at least some credit for a winter with almost no snow. Let's hear it for DPW. We are making generational investments, too, in our parks. At Hudson Park in Wildcliff, with a brand new greenhouse at its heart, thanks to the patient dedication of dozens of volunteers. An ambitious master plan for Ward Acres, shaped through community dialogue and the stewardship of the Ward Acres Conservancy. Ongoing investments at Lincoln and Feeney Parks, with improvements teed up for Maplewood, Neptune, and Huguenot. Restoration of Beachmont Lake after decades of neglect. Upgrades to athletic fields across the city for our thriving youth and adult sports. And a completely renovated Pine Brook Tennis Center, complete with courts for pickleball, which I hope is as fun to play as it is to say. Pickleball. Thank you to our Parks and Rec team for these ever-improving spaces, for your outstanding programming, and for doing so much to make New Rochelle a thriving, fun place for people of all ages and all abilities. And not to leave anyone out, a word of personal appreciation to my closest neighbors in City Hall, the city managers and city clerk's offices, human resources, marketing and communication, and of course, my assistant, colleague, and friend, Angela DeRecas Taylor, who addressed thousands of individual issues and needs with courtesy and respect, who keep our community informed, who are in so many ways the face of City Hall to the larger world, and who always find the time to say a kind word to the guy in the corner office. I thank you all. What we have done All of these improvements together, whether hidden underground or on display for all to see, whether experienced in a single day or paying dividends over a decade, they add up to a community where every neighborhood can be safe and healthy, where our public spaces are filled with life, where our investment in a home, an investment of faith and trust as much as money, is validated by rising values and the prospect of a brighter future, and where all of us can say, I am proud to live in New Rochelle. Now, I have spoken tonight primarily of change, dramatic change in so many aspects of our city, and yet there are some things, thank goodness, that do not, should not, must not change. The through line, the constant during a period otherwise defined by growth and evolution, has been our unshakable commitment to inclusion and equity. We reject hatred and bigotry in all its forms. We affirm everyone's right to be who they are, and we embrace waves of immigrants as our own. We celebrate our diversity, knowing that all of us are enriched and ennobled by it. In some quarters, it has become fashionable to dismiss these values as quote-unquote woke. But what does that really mean? That we are awake to the true fact of historic injustice and present-day inequality? That we are awake to the ongoing struggle for a better, more just world? That we are awake to the importance of teaching our children to do right by others with kindness, respect, and understanding? By those standards, I'll take awake over asleep any hour of the day. Remember, love of country or community, pride in country or community, does not require willful blindness to its flaws and failures. Quite the opposite. True love seeks to repair what is broken, to heal what is wounded, to lift our reality until it reaches the height of our ideals, not the weak tea of tolerance. Love is stronger, demanding more, and giving more. So let us make this commitment, that we will acknowledge that stark inequalities still exist here in our community, not as historic artifacts, but as real and present obstacles to the life prospects of countless neighbors. That we will have honest conversations about the persistence of privilege and injustice, even when such conversations are uncomfortable. That we will accept our responsibility, individual and collective, to right wrongs, especially those closest to home. And in this spirit, let us commit also that the physical and economic progress I have already discussed will be matched by equal dedication to social and human progress. How? First, by ensuring that everyone is welcomed. Welcomed in the fullest sense, not just a friendly wave, but given a chance to make a good life through housing opportunities that are accessible to people of every means. This isn't charity. All of us benefit when essential workers can live in the community they serve, when young people can stay in the community they were raised, and when retirees can remain in the community they helped build. Affordable housing is not a new priority for New Rochelle. Today, about 23% of our community's dwellings are below market, subsidized in one way or another, more than meeting our obligations to the region and setting an example of inclusivity. And we don't ignore the most vulnerable. In recent years, along with partners like the Municipal Housing Authority, we've helped rehabilitate hundreds of low-income units and senior apartments, preserving vital housing for decades to come. While our homeless outreach initiative with Hope Community Services and Montefiore, along with our tenant-based rental assistance program, have helped dozens of people find a permanent place to live. Today, we are building on that legacy by constructing new affordable housing. Nearly 1,200 below-market apartments approved so far, with more than 200 individuals and families already calling them home. We recently enhanced our affordable housing policy to require either more units or deeper affordability or both. and with stronger incentives to include affordable dwellings within market rate projects rather than constructing them off-site. And we're doing more to encourage home ownership with a first-time home buyers program, giving dozens of families their first real opportunity to start building generational wealth and stability. By undertaking these efforts and others, we say to New Rochelians of all means and origins, present and future, you belong here, you can thrive here, and we are better with you here. Second, let's ensure that everyone is nurtured, especially our children. Nurtured through programming, like our Youth Bureau's initiatives to provide employment, mentorship, and service, including a record 286 summer jobs last year, and with the Youth Center coming soon to New Rock. Nurtured through innovation, exemplified by the Opportunity Youth Park in the City Court, which enlists some of New Rochelle's most talented residents to serve as mentors, guiding justice-involved youngsters to be their best selves, and serving as a model for courts across the nation and state. Nurtured through information. Visit our recently updated NeuroStrong webpage to learn how you can receive or provide assistance, with comprehensive links to services, agencies, and volunteer opportunities. And nurtured through partnerships with a thriving not-for-profit sector, to which we have directed unprecedented support through the responsible use of American Rescue Plan dollars. Invaluable organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, about to enter a new era with the opening of the Remington Clubhouse later this year, our city's most significant new youth facility in 2 generations. Or the YMCA, which provides enrichment, enjoyment, and sustenance to hundreds of local families. In this vital mission of nurturing the next generation, we are joined by the talented and civic-minded leadership of Iona University and Monroe College, and we are joined too by our sister institutions, the New Rochelle Public Library, far more than a repository of knowledge, but rather a true community hub in which all of us are invited to learn, connect, create, and tomorrow night play a few games as well. Right, Chris? And the New Rochelle Public Schools, an educational system that, in my opinion as a graduate, and Katie and I speaking as parents, believe is better positioned than any other in Westchester to prepare students to understand an ever-changing world and make a thrilling life within it. This year, we will work with our school district more closely than ever to create a seamless web of after-school enrichment, turning those critical hours from 3 to 6 into opportunities for supervised learning, play, and growth. There are library and school trustees with us tonight. Let's please give them a round of applause and thanks for their volunteer service. Finally, let's ensure that everyone in New Rochelle is respected. Equal rights for all, equal opportunity for all, ideals that are universal and yet also of special importance to communities like ours, which depend so profoundly on the contributions of residents from every heritage, tradition, national origin, and identity. At the national level, sadly, generations of hard-won progress seem today at risk of reversal. From the top, federal courts increasingly hostile to minority rights. From the grassroots, a surge of hatred and bias crime. Online, conspiracy theories infecting the minds of millions. And in the public square, a casual cruelty, edging ever closer to violence. With so much at stake, it must be our purpose to keep alive here in New Rochelle the principles and practices of unity, civility, and truth. Meeting tonight together as equal stakeholders, equally devoted to our city's success. Let us be one community, striving to see the world through each other's eyes and inspiring the best in each other until brotherhood and sisterhood are rekindled fully from sea to shining sea. The office I hold tends to attract the spotlight. I get to stand at this podium tonight and on other occasions, representing the city and community. But in truth, I am just one of many actors, often in a merely supporting role, deferring to the greater knowledge or authority of others in a constantly shifting kaleidoscope of coalitions and leaders. It has been my practice at this event to introduce members of our community whose lives and deeds represent something larger, or whose contributions and achievements are especially noteworthy. Today will be no exception, but instead of turning the spotlight outward, in my final State of the City, I choose instead to shine it on those who have made public service their calling. If you work for the city of New Rochelle, in any capacity, in any department, please stand. Please stand. I am proud of you. I am proud to call each of you colleagues and many of you friends. The work you do is meaningful and noble. It transcends the negativity and cynicism that sometimes masquerades as wisdom, and it makes a positive difference to tens of thousands of people. I applaud you, and I urge you every day to hold your heads up high. Thank you all so much for what you do. Of these many public servants, there are 24 whom I wish to acknowledge by name. They are the men and women with whom, across nearly 3 decades, I have served on the City Council. Men and women representing both parties and every viewpoint, who have been friends, partners, teachers, competitors, adversaries, sources of inspiration, sometimes pains in the rear, and sometimes all of the above at once. And I couldn't be more grateful for them. I'll begin with those who are here with us tonight, and I'll introduce them in order of who I like the most to who I like the least. Alphabetically. B. Brown, where are you, B? Alex Yodice. Barry Fertel. Liz Freed. Ivar Hayden. Tim Idoni, our former mayor. Sarah Kay. Martha Lopez. Yadira Ramos Herbert. Jared Rice. Chris Sellen. Roxy Stowe. Al Tarantino. And Lou Trangucci. Now, we set up an applause meter, and the most popular council member will receive a box set of Citizens to be Heard transcripts and videotapes, which will no doubt be cherished for generations to come. Several others could not join us this evening, but I still want to acknowledge them by name. Michael Boyle, Joe Facina, Roberto Lopez, Jack Quinlan, Shari Rackman, Richard St. Paul, and Marianne Sussman. And on this occasion, too, we remember with sadness and gratitude and admiration Ruth Kitchen, Rhoda Quash, and Jim Stowe. These city councils in succession have been a microcosm of all of New Rochelle, reflecting our city's myriad experiences and perspectives, and also illustrating how each of us is required to work together for the common good. It is not always easy. Not always easy to live or labor side by side with those whose views may be very different from one's own. But the rewards are beyond measure. Because thanks to these 24 individuals and to an even greater number of leaders within and beyond the walls of City Hall, New Rochelle has rebounded from recessions and floods, from tragedies and traumas, always coming back better than ever, guided by a clear vision and the will to see it through, and now with the brightest prospects in our modern history. Allowing me here tonight, in my 18th year as mayor, 28th as a member of council, and 54th as a resident of New Rochelle, to proclaim with absolute conviction, the state of our city is strong. When I said earlier this was our golden hour, I did not mean that we had achieved a state of perfection or put all problems and crises behind us, but rather that, as never before, our future is in our own hands. It will be for others to shape that future, to take our hard-earned progress, our newfound capacity and resources and momentum, and apply them to fresh goals. But I take great satisfaction in knowing that our city, like a ship swift and sure, is ready to go boldly and in full sail to any shore we choose. May courage, wisdom, foresight, and kindness guide the journey ahead, and may God bless the city we love. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ramson out. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful night.